So I created another strange lighting by using a table lamp, and you can see my living room back there, and I'm getting some reflected sunlight, yeah, daylight from there. It's not sun anymore. So let's conclude this chapter on a bumpy road from Industria to Sustainia is what the author called it. I didn't use the bumpy road so far in the 3 podcasts, so let's use it here just to make the author happy since he came up with it. What are the conclusions of this short chapter? We truly live in an age of anxiety again. Humankind can now influence Earth, its environment and its climate. So Earth and environment, I don't know how to separate them, but here we are. I would rather call it just Earth system. Yet so far we seem collectively incapacitated to steer away from the certain doom. This language I don't agree, because doom for who? I'm not even sure all human beings are going to disappear even if there is 4 degrees centigrade warming, because you can imagine that population will collapse and will be down to, let's say, less than a billion, and let's say tropics become very unlivable, and okay, we'll melt some glaciers, sea level will go up, but Siberia may become very good for agriculture. All the way to Arctic we may have forests, and we may have a governance system where all the entertainment and beach weather and relaxation happens in the tropics. Even though it will be warm, we'll have renewable energy and carbon free ways of living, decarbonized system, and we'll grow all the food in the mid latitudes, and we will use high latitudes for living or so. So you can imagine many scenarios. So this certain doom is something that I never agree with. Earth recovered from previous mass extinction events, but it took millions of years each time, and the dominant species were most often gone. Is that a bad thing? I'm not so sure. All of us alive today will love somebody who will be alive in the year 2100. Certainly most will be alive that are very young today. What we do today and in the coming decades determines if they will live in a sustainable society, enjoying at least the same quality of life as we do today, or if they will live in a human environmental apocalypse. This is definitely not good language, and this is what the prop says. What legacy do we want to leave? So all dry with a little island with a greenery and a tree. I don't know what this is supposed to mean even, but apocalypse and extinction of human society are all nonsensical terms that I don't agree anyways. We are in the Anthropocene. Well, not officially, as I said. The question is if we can use our unprecedented knowledge and resources to usher in a new and much needed great transformation away from Industria and towards the vision of Sustainia. Perhaps we are already in Sustainia. Okay, so with an optimistic pessimistic view, but I would say we are mostly handicapped often by what we know. We know how to do things now. We do produce a lot of energy from fossil fuels. Now we are saying we'll produce it from renewables, solar, wind, wave, nuclear, whatever. And we may find many cute ways of producing energy that is carbon free, and we may also find very efficient ways of sucking down CO2 from the atmosphere and other greenhouse gases like Coca-Cola and put it away somewhere safely. So we are betting on carbon capture as part of the solution, negative emission technologies, bioenergy, and we are still thinking population will keep growing, which is a big unknown as well. So I think we are not completely sure where we are headed, but it's hard to imagine that we will continue to just go towards an apocalypse or doom, certain doom. Okay, there are 2 very silly doctrines about knowledge and the world: that we can do whatever we wish and that everything is completely determined. History shows us that only hindsight can tell. Let me read it again. History shows us that only hindsight can tell if we are in a new great revolution, and that it is impossible to determine what society would look like on the other side. So certain doom and apocalypse are obviously not right words if that's the case. However, we must inquire resolutely into recent changes and engage in dialogue concerning any hints we may get of the potential and direction of a new transformation. We are pushing for a transformation, we are hoping for a transformation, we are working towards a transformation, and yet we may not know exactly how it looks. It's almost like science fiction. I like to give an optimistic vision for the young, because if you keep telling them world is coming to an end because of climate change, then they might feel like there is nothing they can do. We have anyway colonized their future, but giving them hope and let them dream about going to Mars, Moon, coming back and being very sustainable here is a good optimistic vision, and there is no reason to think this is not something we cannot accomplish. We must study our past to understand our options for our future without jumping to conclusions about our potential choices. As Gellner also says, we can use the work of Gellner and other influential historical sociologists like Hill and Mann when investigating and engaging in the transformations needed for sustainability today. So what we need to do today matters, and there are many ideas, and climate change is a wicked problem, so not everybody agrees on what we should be doing, but there are still many good things happening. And the example I always use these days is how the vaccine process was accelerated. Usually vaccines would take a decade or longer to be fully tested and deployed, but because of COVID emergency, we came up with multiple vaccines in a very rapid time scale, and they were used at a very large scale. Billions of people got vaccinated, and by all scientific evidences the vaccines worked in reducing deaths. You can get infected even if you are vaccinated, you can transmit it, but you will not get sick. That was the main goal, and it was accomplished. So if climate change and its impacts reach that level of urgency, then we are very well capable of coming up with transition to sustainability, right? So here is the legacy we don't want to leave, but we will not leave this legacy, I suspect. So Gellner teaches us that human history is marked by fundamental transformation, and that a future society may differ equally much from ours as industria from agraria. That's comforting, and it's optimistic, and I like it, and I agree with it. So that's comforting considering the immense sustainability challenges of the Anthropocene. However, not all recent changes in the production, cognition and coercion identified by social scientists correspond cogently to the vision of Sustainia seemingly emerging in global policy. So Anthropocene is here still being used as humans being destructive, but Anthropocene itself may emerge to be what this author imagines as Sustainia, but basically sustainable creatures, right? So that begs obvious question about the actual direction of contemporary social change, but may also be a symptom of the same turmoil and setback found in previous revolutions. It's impossible to know if we are on the bumpy road to Sustainia, but let's sincerely hope so. I have to take this call, so I'm going to urgently close this podcast. Well, he hung up. It's a friend calling who is coming over, so I have to get ready for hosting people, but this chapter on called On a Bumpy Road from Industria to Sustainia is wrapped up now. So the next one is what is the next one? Let's say come on, what is the next one? So next one is the last one where we conclude the book as a whole. So I had already recorded the conclusions from the first edition of the book. I'm going to go ahead and read the conclusions from the second edition as well, since many new chapters have been added and some reorganization has been done. So it should be okay to repeat some of the words from the first edition into the second edition. Okay, see you in the last chapter of